Welcome to PCMC. I'm Mike Bongiorno. I'm joined today by Vin Beavis Forte.
What's going on?
Vin, how are you?
I'm doing good. We just watched Beavis and Butt-Head do the universe.
Preliminary thoughts, sir.
I liked it.
I liked it too. Thanks for listening to PCMC.
Yeah, it's been a really great episode.
I liked it. And you know why that is significant? Because I watched it with a cringe in my jaw of, please don't suck. Like, you came out direct to Paramount Plus, but not just direct to Paramount Plus, like, with no marketing. Like, there was a trailer that was like, in a week it's coming out, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
This is...
Either they want people to be really surprised and love this and get good word of mouth, or they're just like, we're just dumping
They're
this
burying it. Now, you know, there's been some talk of it being a pilot for an ongoing series.
Oh, I think they've already greenlit the news. They're doing like 2 seasons of it on Paramount Plus.
So it'll put them in our contemporary time, which is an interesting idea. Yeah, so I did go into it like, oh boy, I hope this is funny. I hope this is...
But it is. It feels Beavis and Butt-Heady.
Yes, but it's not... Its animation is done by... it's done by a different animation studio. It's actually the same studio that does things...
It does Titmouse.
Yeah, they do things... They've done a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And
I won't say Tit House, which is a whole other...
Yeah. So Beavis and Butt-Head look on design, but everyone else kind of looks a little better. Like, if you look at... We also watched Beavis and Butt-Head do America for this episode, because we want to kind of compare the two films. And Beavis and Butt-Head Does America feels way more like this was that Mike Judge ugly style. Whereas in this new film, it feels like Beavis and Butt-Head are Beavis and Butt-Heady, and everything else is...
You know what the other style is? Adult Swim style.
Yeah.
It feels everyone else is drawn in a very like Aqua Teen Hunger Force style.
Yes, exactly right. Like that very
like super realistic, but also
it doesn't totally. It's not like Roger Rabbit. It doesn't feel too much like it doesn't fit. But if you're familiar with the sort of the original,
it's a nice update.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about the original series and the original movie was, and the very first short, Frog Baseball, is it's super, super rough. I mean, the characters are barely staying on design, and it's just the backgrounds are all shitty. It's very watercolory.
But the thing that makes this movie work, and what makes Beavis and Butt-Head work, is the fact that they're stupid, and the world is reacting to them.
Yes,
it's not. Because you raised an interesting question a couple days ago off mic where you were like, what, like you kind of were trying to figure out what makes them work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. Like it's almost like that one episode of The Simpsons of Frank Grimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the episode where we're showing you what if a normal human interacted with Homer Simpson. Where Beavis and Butt-Head is that idea taken to like the nth degree. Like, what if you just had wild characters like Beavis and Butt-Head walking around, and you just had normal people reacting to them, and the normal people aren't in on the joke,
and they take huge leaps. Like in this one, they like Beavis and Butt-Head. It's called Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe, so there's a little sci-fi of it to it, but it's basically. Almost the exact same kind of film as Do America.
Right, the government's after them.
Right, a bunch of people are after them, and some people think that they're aliens, some people think that they're,
terrorists.
Yeah. And they go to space camp, and they see, like, this docking procedure where you dock this one thing into this other thing, and it looks like a penis going into a vagina. And then they're like, and then they sit there for, like, 24 hours straight, just making it go in and out, in and out, in and out.
And like, you guys have had a lot of practice doing this.
Right.
Like, oh, we sure have.
Right.
Like,
And nobody else gets why they're doing it. They're just like, wow, these guys are so good. And
yeah,
then
there's
at
a
one
part
point,
where they like do a thing where they take this like robotic arm.
and they jerk it off.
And they jerk off, and they're like, wow, they're using the arm to act as a redundancy of the process. Like, nobody's ever thought of that before.
Yeah, like this idea of like, oh, they're geniuses and we're not getting it. And it's both movies have sort of the same plot, which is they think that they're going to have sex with a lady,
Right.
and they're not. In the first movie, Do America, which is from the year 1996, they're hired by a guy to like kill his wife. He mistakes them for being hitmen.
Right.
There's a lot of mistaken things, and his wife Dallas, played by Demi Moore. Kind of like Debbie Does Dallas, because want to Do America. He goes, I need you to do her. And they're like, oh, do her.
Like, oh.
So they think he means have sex with their wife. So that's the whole thing. In this new movie, it's the same thing.
Like, they think we're going to score.
Right. Like the what's her name? Serena, the astronaut, is like, invites them on the trip. It's kind of like for a publicity stunt. Like, you'll come with us, and then when it comes to the point where we do the doc, we'll let you do the doc because that's what you're good at. And it'll be great for everybody. You're bringing young kids into space. And the way she says it to them, like, they think she's saying, oh, no, because she looks at them putting the thing in the other thing and goes, hey, how'd you like to do that
for real?
And he's like, what? So they think she means have sex. So through the whole thing, they think they was have sex. And then they go, at some point, we're just going to talk about how stupid this is. At some point, like, they fuck up the mission completely.
Yeah. And then, like, they're on the ship about to die.
Right. And she, like, she's like, fuck these guys. And she, like, lets them go out she pushes them out into space. They get sucked into a black hole and go into our contemporary time, 2022.
But here's the other big thing about the movie that is very Beavis and Butt-Head. The way it's set up makes you think that, oh, they're going to get sucked into a black hole and they're going to go on, like, this big intergalactic adventure.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, they really just go back. They go back to Earth, but it's 2022,
right? Like,
and the whole rest of the movie is just them like
it's just like
in the state of Texas, trying to get back to their home, also in Texas,
right? It's them, and it's basically Beavis and Butt-Head Do America again. The only other sci-fi element is Smart Beavis and Smart Butt-Head that look like Watchers.
Oh, yeah.
from Marvel Comics.
And they keep showing up and trying to get them to go through this portal to fix everything.
I actually got a kick out of them. Beavis and Butt-Head are famous for just like giggling and laughing at stupid shit. And Smart Beavis and Butt-Head also do it, but they do it in a smarter way. Like,
they're like, oh well, I guess it sounded like we said that, but I could see how you could mix that up.
Droll, yes, very humorous.
Very humorous.
Yes. Well observed.
We put the portal where no one would ever find it, behind the Arts and Humanities building.
Yeah.
Sad commentary on.
Yeah, I know. It's but no, it's funny, yeah, because the opening credits is them like in a fucking X-wing, basically. Like, it looks very Futurama, and that ends up being nothing of what the film is. That's
right. It's setting you up for
sci-fi hijinks, and it really isn't. It's just, the science fiction is a conceit to get them from 1996 to now.
Right.
Although they did a reboot like 10 years ago where they just didn't even think about it. They didn't mention it at all. It was just like,
here's more.
Yeah, here's just more. Like, you didn't have to. Like, they're watching like Jersey Shore instead of videos and stuff. But yeah, they come into 2022, and there's some fun stuff with that. Like, Serena is the name of the astronaut that they think wants to do them, and now she's the governor of Texas.
But along the way, they get a phone.
Yeah.
But they don't know what a new phone is. They think it's like a little TV. But then at a certain point, they're like, Siri, like the Siri in Serena, automatically turns on Siri on the iPhone they have.
Right.
And then Beavis thinks he's having a conversation with Serena the whole time.
And he thinks he's having like a deep conversation with her where he's like falling in love with her.
And like, well, I've never told anyone this before, but I love like Butt-Head keeps stopping him.
Yeah. Well, it's great when he's like, what do you think? He says to Siri, like, what do you think about Butt-Head? And then Siri's like, I do not understand Butt-Head.
He's like, I don't either.
I don't either.
Yeah. Like,
and then at one point she's like, I don't understand Beavis. And he's like, wow.
Sometimes I don't understand myself.
That's really fun. And even the way they get their phone, some tourists, like these fat tourists come up to them, they're like, can you take a picture of us? And he's like, oh, wow, it's a little TV. And he's like, this show sucks. It's just a bunch of fat people standing around.
And like, whoa, we can just pay for anything on our phone?
Right. And then
they get nachos, but like in the montage where they're getting nachos, every new thing they do is just them getting nachos in a different way. Like they're at a strip club and they're doing the Make It Rain, but it's just they pull out and they're just in an Applebee's throwing nachos at people.
They go to a jewelry store and buy like this super expensive like bejeweled chalice, and then they just go to a 7-Eleven and like have them fill it with nachos. Yeah. It's just so stupid.
And then but then they wreck a hotel room, and like everywhere they go, when the government's right after them, they still think they're aliens, so they see all this orange goo all over the place, and they're like, what the fuck are these creatures?
Right, because they're being chased by Serena and the lieutenant governor, who is also like her lackey astronaut. Yeah. And she wants to kill them. She's like, shit, they're after me. They're back, and I have to kill them before they ruin me. And then, because they came through not a wormhole, a black hole, the government, the G-men, think these are aliens.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because they do make fun of how ugly their character design is by like, look at these guys. These are aliens, clearly. So just like the first movie, there's multiple parties chasing them.
But I liked a lot of because it goes from just like set piece to set piece to set piece.
Yeah.
Like at one point they're in a college.
Yeah.
And they have like the woke moment.
I wanted to ask you about that because I've been trying to figure out the ideology of this film. Because they go into a gender class, and the professor's Tig Notaro, of course.
Yeah.
And, they're saying things like, the slut, whatever. Beavis and Butt-Head shit. We're trying to do this slut. She's waiting for us. And then they're like, okay. Tig Notaro's like, this is a teachable moment. And, like, they learn what white privilege is. But then
like in the wrong way. Yeah. They're like, oh, we didn't know this at all. They're like, well, are you going to act different from now on? They're like, absolutely.
Then you see them like going in like stealing shit, like, oh, we have white privilege, sorry.
Yeah,
and then like they steal a cop car.
Yeah, like, oh, we could do this.
We have white privilege. Yeah. So but my question was, I had always thought that Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butt-Head, I guess I had always thought he was more liberal. I don't know why, but then you think King of the Hill is, I don't know, maybe you were saying to me the other day that you think it is liberal, but it's a sort of, he doesn't want to ignore conservative people the way that most mainstream culture does.
Right. Like, it's like, instead of just not making something that's going to appeal to a conservative audience.
Right.
He would rather make King of the Hill, which is set in Texas, very, like, aesthetically conservative.
Right.
But will sneak in the liberal message.
Right.
Because the big trope of King of the Hill, like, the running theme is, in the beginning of an episode, like, an episode will start with Hank Hill not understanding, like, a new gay coworker or something.
Right, right.
And then by the end of the episode, he'll be put in a situation where, like, someone's hassling the gay person from earlier in the episode, and he's like, well, wait right here. Like, why are you, making fun of that person? Just because he loves someone of the same sex?
Right. Yeah, like, I've watched the film twice, and, yeah, the white privilege thing, at first I was like, oh, is this saying that white privilege isn't a thing? Is it making fun of woke culture? And I don't know. I think maybe a little bit, but I also think, I don't know. I
think it's just a funny enough gag.
Or it's just like, it's a time travel gag. You know what I mean? Right. Like how like just like how Siri, how would they deal with this way of thinking?
Exactly. Like they're in the classroom and they're like, hey, slut, and
right.
Tig Notaro's like, well, you did say slut in an affirmative way, which is good. It's positive, but everything else you said was wrong. Like,
right, I know.
I have a teachable moment here,
but it is interesting.
So, and I did like the one part. There's a very quick joke in that classroom scene where there's a black woman about to explain more about the white privilege thing.
Yeah,
and some white dude who's gay jumps in and like answers, just cuts her off and gets all the credit.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a really clever.
Yeah. Right. Even the people who think that they're so progressive are subject to the same prejudices. Yeah, that is interesting. There's a lot of fun stuff in it. In general, which film do you think is better?
Ooh, that's a hard one to answer right now because I think there's definitely more nostalgia for Do America.
Okay.
But I have to say, having just seen Universe, I think it works right alongside it. I don't think there's a dip.
Yeah, I do think it works right alongside it as well. But see, my interesting history was, as a kid, I loved Beavis and Butt-Head. Loved them. Like, had the comics. I still have, like, the first, like, 20 of their run of the comics.
Oh.
I had, like, books. And I loved Beavis and Butt-Head. But then when Do America came out, I don't know what was up my ass, or I don't know, maybe I was growing up in a way, or maybe, like, it was too
different.
It was too narrative from what I wanted. You know, like, I had their album where they sang with Cher. Like, I loved Beavis and Butt-Head, but then the movie I was disappointed by. But watching it again, like, last week, I was like, wow, this movie's great. So
yeah.
I would definitively say I think Do America's better.
I would probably fall on that side of it as well.
It's just better. Everything, even
it's
just
the
for
first
the fact,
time out. It's them.
Right.
Like, it's tighter.
They found a good way to turn that show into a movie, which is a hard thing to do.
Yes.
Because, you know, people forget, like, Beavis and Butt-Head, it was on MTV, and this was back when there was an edict that, like, you had to have videos and things in some way. So every episode of Beavis and Butt-Head would have 2 stories, right? So right there, you're down to 11 minutes.
Right.
But then you'd also have them watching videos and speaking over the videos. Mm-hmm. So really, every little Beavis and Butt-Head story was like 6 minutes or something. And, you know, it would be one little event. It's like, how do you make that into a feature film? But I think they did it. So I do think, and I like the art of the original movie better. It's very hand. Mm-hmm. You look at it now and you think, wow, like,
especially like there's some scenes where they really went all out, like when they're in the desert.
Yes,
it's like that whole freak out scene.
Oh, right. Which apparently, like, Rob Zombie worked on that scene, or like that's actually a really great animation scene, just where they're completely freaking out. Yeah,
but like great character. Like, I love Robert Stack's character. Keeps giving people cavity searches.
Right. Yeah, in the original film, the people chasing him are Muddy, who's played by Bruce Willis. At this time, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore were married, a famous married couple. Yeah. So they play a married couple in the film. There's also David Letterman's in it. Remember that Beavis and Butt-Head was a true phenomena, and there were celebrities that were like, yeah, we want to be in this movie. Yeah. So in the first one, the elements of people chasing them are, you've got Muddy, who hired them to kill his wife, but they misunderstood, and now he thinks that they're double-crossing him, that they're in cahoots with her. Right. So he's trying to kill them. But then the wife, Dallas, she stole some MacGuffin chip and sewed it into Beavis's shorts, so the government's
after him for the chip.
Right. They want to, and this chip could, like, is bio warfare. Yeah. So, like, if it breaks, like, all the population of America will die. So, like, there's various elements after them as well. It actually reminds me a little bit of, like, the Blues Brothers movie.
Yeah,
where it's like there's like 3 or 4 elements and they're all chasing after this, and it all will come to a head at the end where we all get together. So those are the elements in the first movie, but I tell you something that the second movie does better that the first movie doesn't do, which is the second movie has, and this is pretty obvious dramatically, but they didn't do it. The second movie has Beavis and Butt-Head fight and break up. Yeah, which. It's so obvious. I mean, even the fucking Powerpuff Girls movie has a scene where they get mad at each other. Like, in the first movie, that doesn't happen. They're always on the same page. Yeah. I mean, Butthead's always abusive to Beavis. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, they get to a point where they're like, they go to their house, and now it's, like, been flipped, and there's an open house, someone's selling it. Beavis's mother's dead, or whatever. Who knows where she is. And there's a bookshelf where their TV was, and they're just so upset about the way the world has changed, and they're freaking out. They're throwing books at each other, and Butthead's making fun of her because he's like, "Oh, I love you, Serena." Butthead's making fun of her for having feelings, and they're like beating the shit out of each other. And then they break up, and it's good for the story. Yeah. And then they get back together because they're both kidnapped by 2 various elements. What do you think of the voices? Beavis sounded a little bit older. Like, you could tell Mike Judge is aged.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine.
I mean, it's fine. It's not distracting. But if you know the voice as well, you could be like, okay, Beavis. It's not as high as Beavis used to be. No. Butthead's basically the same. Yeah. But Beavis doesn't reach that high register that he used to.
No, definitely not.
There's some interesting things we learned in this film that had never been revealed before in the series. Like, they were never clear that they lived in Texas. Whereas
was it not clear?
No. They would say Highland, but you never knew.
Okay.
in this movie they make clear it's Texas. It makes it clear that the house that they're always in is Beavis's house, and it also makes it clear that Beavis is Beavis's last name, not his first name.
Yeah,
because we learn his mother's name is Shirley Beavis.
And like I like that scene because you think that like they're just playing with the new like garbage disposal,
right?
And they're just like throwing shit at it, and the realtor's like, yeah, it was owned by Shirley Beavis, who sad what happened to her. And then you hear the garbage disposal go off.
Yeah, and then
every time she's saying something important. But then it'll cut back, and she'll be like in media res, and just like, yeah. And then after her heart was broken, she
you won't believe what she did next.
Yeah.
And then her last words was, "If I could just tell my son one last thing," and then they're just fucking with it. They don't totally get that they're in a different time.
No,
which could be a little grating. You have to be in the mood for these movies because it is stretching characters that are meant for short subjects to an extent of you've got to be in on the joke. You've got to be like, look, these guys are the stupidest guys ever. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is how everyone else is reacting to them. And it's funny, when I was a kid, I think I liked their stupidity. But now as an adult, I see it in a totally different way. What I find more funny now is those reactions. In the first movie, they go to Yellowstone National Park, and Eric Bogosian is a tour guide, and he's like, this is Old Faithful. Old Faithful, so many 1,000 pounds of water are shot up. And he's like, oh, that's really not that much when you think about it. And he's like, they're like hurting his feelings.
He's like, well, no, it's a lot of water.
It's really not that interesting. I really the funniest thing Beavis does is if somebody is explaining something to Beavis, he'll be like, yeah. But of course he's not really getting it.
Yeah.
So it's like I realize now it's the little things that are way funnier than the big stupid things. It's them traversing the world.
Right.
Something cool that they do in the new film is the way that we get to 2022 is it's like a Simpsons episode. There's a bunch of steps that get us there. Because first they have to go to space camp, and they go to space camp because the judge
takes mercy on them, and it's like, instead of giving the space camp prize to someone who won the science fair, because you burned down the science fair, there's not going to be a winner. So instead of giving it to someone who probably wouldn't need it because they're well-adjusted anyway, we're going to give it to you.
Because you need it, because you guys are from broken homes, and you're clearly...
Also, did you catch the cameo in the courtroom?
Yes.
Yeah, Daria.
Not only Daria, but done in the style of her own show.
Yes.
Not the style of her and Beavis and Butt-Head.
Right.
Which I thought was very cool. And they made it fit. I was like, cool, that's the character design of the Daria we know. Yeah, the first film has all the extra characters, all the ancillary characters. Like Mr. Anderson, who's sort of a proto Hank Hill.
Whacking in my tool shed.
The boys who were whacking off in my tool shed. But the second film, only in the very beginning do you see these ancillary characters, and then we kind of move beyond them. Like we see Mr. Van Driesen, the hippie teacher. Like there's really just that scene in the science fair, which I think is funny. They're just
kicking him in the nuts.
Yeah, like somebody creates this science experiment where it's just like this
foot that's gonna kick a football,
right? But he just Beavis stands in front of this, and he's like clearly like winding up to kick him. He's like, "You're not gonna kick me in the nuts, right?" And he's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, thank God, I'm glad we're over that." And then he kicks him, and like he fucking flies, and I couldn't help but they got me, because he flies, but then he lands on a table of cactuses.
Yeah,
and that got me. I was like, that's fucking funny. Just the cactuses is just like they just make it as horrible as it could possibly be. And then that's what starts a fire, and everything burns down. Yeah, they burn the whole school down.
And the judge is like, they say I'm the hardest judge in the state. And I am.
And then you see like Mr. Van Driesen and like
Mr. Anderson.
And like you see like all the other characters like, yeah, they're finally going to get what's coming to them.
Like, I'm sentencing you to space camp. And they're like, no.
It's funny, space camp was big in the 90s.
It really was.
It makes sense.
That was all the like game shows. Like when you would win, like, you're going to space camp.
I always want to go to space camp.
It always seemed fun.
But you know what? I have such a bad.
You would have hated the G-force.
Yeah, like I would not have been able to do zero gravity in any possible way.
The closest I ever went to space camp was. Did you ever do the Bueller Space Center?
No.
This place in Jersey where it's like it's basically a museum to the Challenger spacecraft. And you can go and like you as a class can be assigned like different positions, and basically you do like a space mission.
Okay.
Like there's some kids who are in like a mission control room, and there's like a room with all these different stations that you would have like on a regular space shuttle. And like I remember I was on like the robotics one where I was like playing with like kind of like they were in the movie with like a robotic arm that was like moving things around.
Well, that's cool.
And then you could like everyone loved the gift shop because you could buy the freeze dried ice cream.
Oh, who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
The stuff where they're on the space shuttle is fun. They throw up in zero gravity and it propels them.
They stare into the sun through a telescope and that burns their eyes so they can't see what they're doing during the docking.
Right, which is really funny. Well, like Beavis does it first, right? He does it in one eye and he's blind in one eye. And then he's like, let me try the other eye. And then he does it again because he's stupid. And then he's blind both eyes. And then they cut away and you hear Butt-Head yell. Yeah. And then 2 seconds later, you hear him yell again. So it's like Butt-Head also did both eyes.
Yeah.
So now they're both blind.
I love when they're docking into I guess what's supposed to be the International Space Station.
Yeah.
There's like a little Russian guy in there, like, hey, like,
yeah, they
thumbs
up.
And then as the thing is docking, it's like careening off and destroying the side of it.
Yeah.
And then you just see the guy like floating in space, like dead.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They're like, listen, the mission's completely screwed up. We only have enough food and oxygen for 4 people, and there are 6 of us. And she's like, 2 people have to volunteer to leave, go out in space, and then like everyone's looking at Beavis and Butt-Head like, come on, like this is your fault, but fucking they don't agree.
Yeah.
It's
and the one guy's like, I volunteered.
Yeah, you saw that, right?
I saw that, right? I mean, I didn't volunteer, but like I volunteered.
Let's see. Oh, so both films have cameos from the great Cornholio.
Oh, yes.
How would you describe Cornholio to a kid that's never seen Beavis and Butt-Head?
Look, he needs TP for his bunghole.
He does need TP for his bunghole.
This is just like the height of them being stupid for stupid's sake.
But it's funny that it's like, remember when like Steve Urkel became Stefan or Cal? And like they just kept bringing it back?
Yeah.
Like Cornholio was in one episode. And then I guess people loved it, that they were like, so like he would come back from time to time, and then in the first movie he's Cornholio.
Right, they think he's like a terrorist about to destroy the White House.
Right, and then in the second movie he's Cornholio once while in prison.
Which I liked that scene where they're like, yeah, we do need more TP in here. Like,
yeah.
At least start a riot because they need more toilet paper. And the warden, like wildly out of character for a warden, is just like, wait a minute. We need to be we need to be compassionate to them.
Well, he looks them up and he sees that they died in 1996. So he's like, oh, these are angels. Hey, have you ever seen that old show Touched by an Angel?
Which comes up twice in the
right. Yeah, because the judge is like, I was watching this show last night, Touched by an Angel. So there's some fun 90s comedy in it. But Cornholio, I mean, essentially what it is if Beavis becomes stimulated, it could be sugar and candy, or it could be drugs. It could be anything. Yeah. He becomes more hyperactive. He puts his T-shirt over his head, so he's like I don't know, all scrunched over. He starts speaking with like, let's say, a Latinx accent, like TP for my bunghole.
Yeah, it was like a Eastern European.
Okay.
I mean, it could just be just a voice that he picked random.
I'm trying to think, because there are moments where he says things that are like, I don't know. And Cornholio, yeah,
that is more Latin. You're right.
Because remember Taco Bell's big in the 90s, like, and they loved nachos. There was this thing of like, anyway, Cornholio talks a lot about TP for his bunghole, and when he's in jail, he's like, I have but one bunghole to give. No man can see his own bunghole. Like it's just the most utter nonsense. But when I was watching Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe, when I saw him start to become Cornholio, I was excited. I was like, oh, here we go. Here it is. Do you kids know about Cornholio? Because you're about to. That's totally the kind of thing I could see a young kid watching and being like, what the fuck is this? This is what you people liked?
Yeah, this is what you watched 25 years ago?
Like, what's even the joke here?
Yeah.
There isn't. It's just pure stupidity.
But yeah, the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Basically, I like that because you said there's the recurring thing with the alternate universe Beavis and Butthead.
Smart Beavis and Butt-Head.
Smart Beavis and Smart Butthead. And at the end, they all realize everything's a big misunderstanding, and Serena's not angry at them anymore. She's like, I wanted to kill you, but you're just, a couple of idiots. Like, you just want, like, they finally put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And, like, you just wanted to have sex with me. And then Beavis is about to, like, spill his guts to Serena.
Yeah.
And even, like, the government guys are like, it's okay, son, you could say it.
Right,
like,
because he wants to say I love you, because he thinks he loves her. Because of the conversations he had with Siri.
Right. But then, like, Smart Beavis jumps in, and it's like, I can show you the universe. Like, come with me, and I will show you things that you've only dreamed of since you were a little girl. And like, the last words he says is like, and I have a giant schlong.
Yeah. And she's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and so she goes off to another universe with the other Beavis and Butthead. And then they get a medal of condemnation.
It's the end of Star Wars.
Yeah, like there's a whole we go to a whole other universe where there's all the. It's sort of like the Council of Rick and Morty.
Right.
Like,
it's all these other Beavis and Buttheads.
And there's like a king and queen Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
And like Beavis is like this portly queen.
Yeah.
And they each get a medal, one for being the first Beavis to score.
Yeah.
And the other to Butthead for like sitting in a closet and watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at one point early on, when they first meet our Beavis and Butthead, they're like, in other universes, do we score? And he's like, sadly,
in no universe
do Beavis and Butthead ever score. But there was the one Beavis that scored, Smart Beavis.
Yeah.
Well, I love at the end, the whole thing is like, they're like, Beavis and Butthead, because you went through the black hole, you ripped a hole in time and space, and you have to go back through a portal, back to your time, and that's the only way time will fix itself and the universe will be safe. So first they're like, we've put the hole on the top of Mount Everest, the highest point in your planet, and they're like, they don't even understand them, they don't even look for it. So then they come back again and they're like, we have put it behind the humanities building here in the college. So they still don't go, and then finally they're like, we put it in your bathroom in your house. You just got to go right in and walk through. And then at the end, the lieutenant governor, he goes through. He gets sucked through, and it closes. And then Smart Beavis and Butthead are like, oh, we had thought it was you that had to go through. But
like, even though we are the smartest Beavis and Butthead, that is still relative to the rest of the world.
Right.
Like,
we could have kicked a brick in, and it would have worked. So now they're in 2022.
Yeah.
And as compensation for almost killing them and
they get their house back.
Yeah, the government gives them a house, gives them a TV, and now I guess they just live there in 2022. Now, can the new show? It's so weird to me that the new show is going to have this conceit of them now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they did it 10 years ago. Like, there's no reason they can't.
Right, for a cartoon, there's no reason to be like, oh well, how do you explain? Like, you don't need that really. Yeah. And by the way, when it came back 10 years ago. Very little fanfare. Well, it was more like 12 years ago, right? It was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, it was like 2011 it came back.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I watched it, and I was like, this is good. This is it.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it, but it seemed like it did nothing at that time.
Yeah, well, again, like you said with this movie, like it just kind of, hey, we're putting a movie out.
Yeah.
And it's out.
We spoke recently about Kids in the Hole brain candy. It's similar to the Kids in the Hole thing where like 10 years ago they reunited and nobody seemed to care. And then they reunited again and now it's like, oh, Kids in the Hole reunited. The same thing's happened with Beavis and Butthead, really, right?
Well, I think because now like you're giving people what they want.
Okay, you want more of like
with Kids in the Hall specifically was like...
Oh, Kids in the Hole, yeah. Oh, yeah, because that show wasn't a sketch show.
Right. That was just
but
like
with Beavis and Butthead, it seemed like nobody gave a shit when it came back.
Right.
There were like more seasons of Beavis and Butthead. Like it almost didn't make a big deal.
Well, because I think the streaming service matters this time. Because
yeah.
When you just had it going to MTV, you had it being directly marketed to the current MTV audience.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's on Paramount Plus. It's like we're accustomed at this point, even in the infancy of streaming, relative to like how long streaming has been around, we're already used to the idea that like, yeah, you can get kids shows on Paramount Plus, you can get adult shows. Like,
yeah,
we're not expecting. It's like we're not like there's no expectation. Almost.
Right, you're right. Yeah. What do you think? I'm trying to think if this new show will be good.
There's only one way to find out.
I know. Will they do what they did when they came back before and still try to do like segments of them watching stuff, or at this point?
I would imagine. Well, I don't know.
I mean, they're watching Paramount Plus stuff. Like, what would they be watching?
The Offer.
Yeah.
Make fun of the offer.
Just Beavis and Butthead doing a riff on fucking
Robert Evans.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, in the end, I don't think people who didn't like Beavis and Butthead before will get a lot out of the new film.
No, but if you did like Beavis and Butthead before, I think you're really going to like this.
Right. I think Beavis and Butthead is a thing that is of its time. You know,
yeah.
There was a time where I remember even seeing maybe it was 2020 or some news magazine show being the comedy of idiots, and it was they were talking about Beavis and Butthead and Adam Sandler movies, and Tommy Boy had just come out, and it was this whole thing of are idiots cool? It was a very weird postulation.
Well, again, that was that specific time, and I always tell people, because a lot of people have this idea that trash TV is peak trash TV is right now, or was even 10 years ago or 15 years ago. No, peak trash TV was the late 90s.
Yeah, early aughts.
That was Jerry
Animal
Springer.
Attacks. You know what I mean? Or Fox would have a special on prime time about an alien autopsy.
Yeah.
Or really mean-spirited reality shows like The Swan.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking back to how many times they would do the when animals attack thing.
I know.
Or Man vs. Beast.
Yeah.
Remember when they did those specials and it would be
prime time.
But they would do the Man vs. Beast stuff was insulting to for many reasons. But I remember specifically they did one where it was an elephant pulling an airplane and 200 little people pulling an airplane.
Yeah.
And
so insulting.
Yeah.
So insulting. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't. Yeah. You know what over this week, because the original Beavis and Butthead is also on Paramount Plus, I was let me watch some stuff, and I was looking up some stuff on YouTube, and I completely forgot, and I think I sent this to you, that there had been a couple of cases of kids doing violent things.
Yeah, lighting fires.
Yeah, one kid lit his house on fire and killed his little sister or something. And they blamed Beavis and Butthead got blamed. Now, I don't know if this is true. You can't believe YouTube comments as a source.
Right.
But I was looking at the comments, and somebody in the comments was years later, this kid came out and said he never even saw Beavis and Butthead. That was an engineered thing.
Right.
So, who knows?
I would believe it.
That's a comment. Who knows? But I completely forgot that it was controversial.
Well, that's when Jackass came out, and there was all that stuff. Remember when Jackass first came out?
Yeah.
They did not have, the warning.
Yeah.
But, very quickly they put it in, because there was that, I think there were people definitely trying to do their own Jackass shit.
Yeah.
But, specifically, I think there was one kid who, was trying to jump over a car, a moving car, something like that. And and he got hurt, and that's when they were oh, we gotta fucking put a warning before this.
Yeah. But Beavis and Butthead got big. I remember one of their champions was David Letterman. Do you remember when they appeared on David Letterman?
Yeah, in animated form.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. And it was to promote the movie, but I remember he used to have Mike Judge on a lot. He liked it. He was a champion of Beavis and Butthead, which is why he ends up being the voice of Butthead's father in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, it was big. I mean, they had this album, which was some original music, some audio sketches. But Beavis and Butthead and Cher, the real Cher, did a remake of "I Got You, Babe."
Mm-hmm.
And I
remember the video.
Yeah, I posted part of the video on the PCMC Instagram recently, and I said this was peak 90s.
Did you have the Beavis and Butthead video game?
Oh, dude,
I could not beat it.
No, but God, did me and my brother Anthony, we got it for Christmas. It's funny. Despite all the controversy, my parents had no problem letting us watch it. They just were fine with it. Although I did once get in trouble because I wrote I did some little sketch. We were supposed to write some little play for CCD, and I wrote some little sketch that was basically very Beavis and Butthead. And then the CCD teacher was I think Michael is disturbed. But it was really just Beavis and Butthead type hijinks. And my parents were mad about that. But
you know what? That happened to me in third grade. I was just doodling something out of Beavis and Butthead that I had seen. And then the teacher was fucking give me that. And the parent teacher conferences was a couple days later, and they saved it and fucking gave it to my dad. My dad came home and was fucking paying you to go to school.
They were public enemy number one for a while.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, this is bad. This is bad for people. You're going to, you know, which is nonsense. You know, media absolutely will always have an effect on reality, but it doesn't have a straight, direct, mimetic effect of I see it and I do it.
Right.
It changes your worldview. Look, of course it has an effect, but I always resist the simple-minded idea of like the magic bullet.
Oh, well, because that's the simple idea. Like
you play a violent video game and then you want to go act violently. No.
Right. Meanwhile, like, and again, maybe this is a simple answer as well. I think a lot of times it falls on the parents, because the same parent that could just as easily say, you're not watching this is bad.
Yeah.
Could be like, could just as easily be like, here's why people are saying this about this show. Here's why your friends can't watch it. Yeah.
But it's
why, but also here's why it's entertaining. It's a farce.
Right.
Like same thing with the violent video games. Like a parent should be able to go to their kid and be like, why do you enjoy playing this game? And like have a discussion about it.
Right.
Like, well, like it helps me, take some steam off. Like, it's fun to rack up points and say like, but does it make you want to like go and shoot up the school? And they go, oh no, of course not. Like, yeah, of course not, because like you're not already like predisposed to that.
Right. It's just way more complicated than people say it is. But, going back to that time, it's not always the parents. A lot of it, I think, was the media itself, news media, pushing those narratives. Because remember when Columbine happened, they went through the kids' CD collection and they found the Marilyn Manson. And they were like, this is it. This is why. And
but it's like you were looking for something.
Right. You were absolutely looking. Or South Park as well became a part of that. It's like, how...
Yeah.
Not that Marilyn Manson is a cool guy, because we've learned he's an abusive piece of shit. But
there's that famous Bowling for Columbine clip where he's 100% right. Where like, okay, they want to peg him into this, but why not blame the president? Why not blame the inundation of commercials?
I mean, the truth is, why not blame gun control? Because that's the last thing that we'll ever do in this country, no matter what. We'll never take care of our gun problem.
Right, but like in a broad sense, like, okay, you're gonna blame Marilyn Manson and say that he has all this influence on children.
Right.
But, like, why wouldn't the president have influence on children? Why wouldn't, all these TV commercials that are saying, like, if you got acne, you're not going to get the girl, so you got to get the acne cream. And then if you don't get the girl, you're not going to get laid. And if you don't get laid, you're not going to have friends. Like, you're going to be depressed. Now you're depressed, so you got to take the pill. And then...
Yeah, I know. Did you, what one of my favorite episodes, though, of the original Beavis and Butt-Head was? The Christmas special, where they do like the night before Christmas, and it's their boss from the burger place.
Yes.
I don't know, for some reason they played it a lot one Christmas. I guess it was like 95 or whatever. And I just remember watching it a lot. We were trying to talk about, when we did Cable Movie Classic episode, I was trying to remember the name of the Beavis and Butt-Head marathons that MTV used to do, and I couldn't pull it, but I found it, and it was Maranathon. The Beavis and Butt-Head Maranathon, where they'd play like 4 hours, and they would do this like all the time. And a Maranathon was like, you didn't know when it was coming. It'd be a Friday night, you just watch TGIF, and now it's like 10, and it's like, now there's a Maranathon for 3 hours. It's like, yes, this is going to be awesome. And I remember them playing that Christmas episode a lot, and just absolutely loving it.
Well, because something I don't think people understand now, because how could they, about MTV, is that it's a cliche to say, oh yeah, they used to play videos and all this, but even more than that is their schedule was all over the place. Nothing would start. Very few things I remember actually starting at like on the hour at like the 30-minute mark. It would be like, here's 15 minutes of videos, then we're going to cut to like an MTV news break with Kurt Loder. Then, like, here's a Beavis and Butt-Head cartoon.
And nothing would remain. Like, Beavis and Butt-Head was just sort of... like, I watched it. I don't remember when it aired. It was just sort of always on.
Oh, yeah. It was there for... It had a good long life. Like, it was there from, like, 93 to, like, early 98.
And it really was... MTV, I mean, influential in a way that you can't understand now because it's just a joke now. But there was a time where MTV was like... Like, if you, like, kids had, like, Disney Channel and comedy and Cartoon
Network. But, like, the slightly older kids.
Right. They really didn't have anything. Like, for teenagers, it was really MTV. That was it. And every teenager watched it, whether you were watching videos or you were watching Beavis and Butt-Head, or you were watching Yo MTV Raps, or you were watching Headbangers Ball, or you were watching The Real World.
Minutes.
Like there was Liquid Television. There was tons and tons of shit
and
there.
then there was. I mean, this could be a whole episode in and of itself. MTV Spring Break.
Right, which would be like, what, 2 weeks of weird programming all around kids in a house, like,
well, yeah, because they would
partying.
go down to, like, Cancun. They'd have, like, the MTV Beach House.
MTV Sports,
Yeah.
right? They were at one point really important, and now they are not. Although it's funny, I can't even tell you, like, I don't really even watch TV anymore. So like I never put it on. So I don't know, like, if I were to put it on right now, I don't know what I would see.
Well, there's that meme of, like, the schedule of MTV. It's like 18 straight hours of, like, ridiculousness.
Yeah, right. I know they had a Teen Wolf, and they had like a Scream series. They've done
There was a
of
period where they were getting into the paranormal romance genre.
Yeah. Well, Vin, I think we did it.
We did it.
The recommendation is go watch Beavis and Butt-Head do America, and Beavis and Butt-Head do the universe.
Yeah.
And
get Paramount Plus.
And get, once again, PCMC is not really brought to you by Paramount Plus. Vin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
We come out every Wednesday. We are your podcast for pop culture ephemera and all the things you love. We end every episode by saying,
Go bye-bye.